All right, everybody, welcome to Good Blue, Bad Blue, the first episode of the 2025-2026 season. Obviously, I'm Justin by myself today. Brandon is busy, but I wanted to go ahead and get an episode in since the season technically started. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, Carolina has already played their first game, beating Central Arkansas by 40 points. It was a home game for Carolina, so they played at the Dean Dome. Duke has yet to play. They actually are playing Texas later tonight, so we'll get to see what Duke has tonight when they play Texas. Carolina ranked number 25 in the first poll of the season. Duke ranked number 6. And obviously, without Brandon here, we're mostly just going to focus on Carolina today. Not going to talk nearly as much about Duke, but we'll still mention them just for Brandon's sake because I know he wants to be mentioned. So Carolina plays Central Arkansas. Central Arkansas has had like one winning season in like the last 15 years. So Carolina was 30-point favorites. They win by 40. They cover the spread. And it was actually a pretty good game. Carolina adding 11 new players this year. So they got a whole new squad, basically. Seth Trimble's pretty much the only one back. They also got James Brown back, which, he played a little bit. Zayden High, who was suspended last year, is back on the team. Obviously, the big recruit is Caleb Wilson, number 5 recruit coming into high school this year. Looked really good in both the exhibition games, scoring over 20 points and having double figures in rebounds both times. The other big recruit, who apparently is a junior, is Luka Bogovac from Montenegro. So he was cleared by the NCAA. He wasn't cleared by UNC. Ends up getting cleared during shoot around last night during Carolina's first game. So he does end up playing. Carolina also getting Jared Stevenson from Alabama, the SAR from Arizona, Cayenne Evans. Man, a lot of new players here. We can keep, a couple freshmen, Dennis and Dixon. They got Jaden Young, Jonathan Powell. Yeah, a lot of new players here. Carolina's pretty deep. Carolina's really tall. They started Caleb Wilson at the 3 position, so they started 2 guys that were 6'10", plus Vassar, who's a 7-footer. To go with Evans and Trimble in the backcourt. I do expect Luka to maybe jump in there somewhere. Maybe they take Stevenson out of the starting lineup, or maybe they just let Trimble run the point and take Evans out and put him on the bench. But either way, Carolina's got options this year, which is way different than last year. They're bigger. Last year they were really small. This year they're really tall. This could be an exciting year for Carolina. I actually kind of like what I've seen from them so far. I don't want to get my hopes too high, but man, Caleb Wilson, he could be the best freshman that Carolina has seen in probably 20 years. I mean, that dude, he looks unbelievable. He rebounds. Obviously, he can get to the rim. He had 6 dunks, I believe, or 7 dunks in Carolina's first game. Again, it was just against Central Arkansas, but still, he's proven that he can throw it down. He's not settling for layups where he might be able to miss or might get blocked. I really like that. I mean, I like that Carolina, they were sharing the ball. They had 23 assists, I believe. They were finishing at the rim. Outside shooting still wasn't great, but I do expect it to come around. But you also, I don't know if you need to be a great outside shooting team if you can be great inside the paint, which I think Carolina might be actually pretty decent around the rim this year. So overall, I think I'm kind of excited for this Carolina team, but the first test does come very soon. Second game of the season, they were playing Kansas. Kansas comes to Carolina this year. Remember last year, Carolina went to Kansas, only lost by 3, but they were down by like 25, I believe, at one point, and then came back to actually, I think they took the lead at one point, but they had a chance to send it to overtime, I think. At the end, Elliot Cadeau missed the 3, but I think Carolina this year, honestly, if they beat Kansas, I'm probably sold on this team. I'm probably buying the stock on this team. Like I said, I think Caleb Wilson is going to be a stud. I think he's unbelievable. If you look at the rest of the players, Jaron Stevenson, I think just seeing him what he did in 2 years at Alabama, I think he fits perfect. Vassar, probably not a dominant big man like Carolina really was hoping for, but I think he's going to be good enough. I really think he can do what they need him to do. Cayenne Evans looks pretty decent so far. I don't know if he can really run the point, and he is the one small guy on the team, so he might get picked on a little bit, but I kind of like him. Seth Trimble, big Seth Trimble fan. Talked about that before. I think he's great. think he's fantastic since year one. I really do. So I think Carolina's actually got a pretty decent team this year. I don't think they have as hard of a schedule. Only playing what, three ranked teams outside of conference. So I love what Hubert's done with the schedule this year. He's basically saying, hey, we don't need to play 10 or 11 ranked teams outside of conference. We can play some home games. We can play some easier opponents to get going because we do have a lot of new players. So I really like that. And I think Carolina, honestly, like I said, it's really going to come down to this year, uh, basically, how good these guys can mesh together and how quickly they can mesh together. But it was a big thing that Luka got cleared. That helps him a lot. So overall, I think Carolina's got a really good chance this year, actually. I don't know how good they'll do in conference. They might just be like, not middle of the pack, but they might be, anywhere from 4 to 6, maybe. I don't know if they'll be a top two, top three team, but if they can just finish, anywhere from 4 to 6, and if they can play as good as they're supposed to in the non-conference, then I think, they'll be a tournament team. They should be a tournament team. I actually think they could be kind of a higher seed, but yeah. So Carolina overall, I think this could be an exciting year. I think they got some things to look forward to. I think they have a team that we haven't seen in a while. I think they can run. I think they're physical. I think they're exciting. I mean, we saw a couple alley oops. We saw a couple, like I said, a couple dunks. I think somebody said they had 11 dunks in the first game, whereas last year I think it took them to like the fourth game of the season before they got their 11th dunk. Which obviously last year on the team, I think they had some guys that couldn't even dunk, so there was that. But they're missing a lot of pieces. Obviously, a lot of people transferred. Elliot Cadeau went to Michigan. Ian Jackson went to St. John's. Those were probably the two biggest players that transferred, and maybe the two biggest surprises. Maybe you also had Jalen Washington that left. Drake Powell decided to go pro. Went to the Nets. Cade Tyson, I think, went to Minnesota. He put up 30 points in their first game. Then Alan Lubin went to State. So we get to boo the crap out of him this year, which will be pretty fun. Weird schedule thing because the ACC sucks. Carolina only plays State one time this year. And it's at State, of course, because Carolina's not going to get the benefit of the doubt to play a home game against State when they only play one time. I tell you, it's going to really suck if Carolina loses that game. The fact that they only play once is so stupid, but Carolina loses that game, man. We're probably going to hear a lot of trash from the State fans, even though, again, one Final Four in 30-something years, so whatever. But, yeah, I think Carolina's got a good chance. I think I could see them finishing, I think they might surprise us and finish second or third in the conference. Louisville probably, I think, wins the conference, which I'll get to that in a minute. But I think Carolina could finish second or third. I think most likely they're somewhere from 4th to 6th. I really do. I think Caleb Wilson is going to be a stud. It'll be interesting to see what happens when he finally has a bad game, if he can bounce back. It'll be interesting to see what happens when they face a more physical team, if there is a more physical team, if there is a bigger team out there. I don't know. But it's going to be an interesting season. I'm actually more excited for this year than I was last year. I think last year had potential, and they never got there. This year, even though it's a lot of newer players and a lot of maybe some young players, I think it's not as far of a drop from what can happen and what might happen. I think last year was a lot of, hey, this could happen, but also this could happen. This year, I think you're kind of in the middle, so I think it'll be a fun season. Let's switch over to Duke very quickly. Duke also plays Kansas, by the way, at some point. Duke also plays Arkansas at some point. Their first game against Texas. Texas not ranked in their first poll. Games in Charlotte. I probably expect Duke to win that game. I think Duke could probably have a pretty good non-conference. They play Florida, which it's at Duke, but man, it's hard to see Florida losing that game. They also play Texas Tech. I don't know where that one's at, but that could be a tough game for Duke's. Actually got a tougher non-conference schedule in Carolina, which is probably the first time I've ever been able to say that in my life. If you look at Duke's roster, obviously they got the Boozer twins being their big players this year. Cameron Boozer, who some are saying could be their number one draft pick. Dude looks pretty good. He had 20 and 20 in one of their exhibition games. So yeah, I think their biggest problem is going to be their point guard position, and also their biggest problem is just they're going to rely again on a lot of young players. But without a good point guard, it'll be interesting to see what can happen there. I'm still not sold on John Shire as a good coach. I don't care what anybody says. Still not sold on John Shire as a good coach. But they could still have a good team just because, again, they have a lot of top recruits. And the Boozer twin might be an actual stud. So they'll probably end up still being a good team. Let's switch our attention to the ACC as a whole. Like I said, this is a quick show today. Without Brandon here, just me. So it's going to be quick and easy. ACC as a whole, yeah, 3 teams ranked in the first bowl of the season. Duke at 6. Duke at 6. Louisville at 11. And Carolina at 25. That's your 3 teams that are ranked to start the season. I think those are probably your top 3 teams. I think you could probably throw Virginia in there. Some people are saying State might be pretty good. But, yeah, I think Louisville might actually be the best team in the conference. But I also think their floor is pretty low, too. You know, they could go the opposite way. I think maybe we could end up having a very crazy ACC schedule, and it might not play out at all like we thought it would. Or it could just go chalk with Louisville to Carolina. But, yeah, I think right here, basically one day into the season, if you have to ask me, I'll probably say Louisville probably finishes 1. And I think, honestly, maybe Virginia finishes 2. I think maybe they just find a way to get things done. And I think anywhere from like 3 to 6, you could probably throw in a bunch of teams. Carolina, Duke, maybe State. So, yeah, I think overall, I think it could be a pretty interesting season in the ACC. I think a lot of stuff could happen, a lot of surprises. I think we could get a lot of upsets maybe. Could be very reminiscent of like the 2007 ACC when, you know, everybody thought that Carolina was really good, which they were really good. Number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, but there was a lot of upsets. I think Virginia Tech snuck up there that year. So, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's going to be fun to watch. I really think this is going to be a fun year. I think they get more teams in the NCAA tournament this year. I think the ACC should get 6 teams. I feel like maybe even 7, you know, because why not? Why not? But I think 6 for sure. Let's switch our attention to the national rankings. Purdue number 1, Houston number 2, Florida 3, UConn 4, St. John's 5. That's your opening starting 5, or your opening top 5, I mean. And honestly, yeah, Purdue's pretty good. I think Houston would probably be my pick to be the number 1 team right now. Florida, the returning champion. They got to be up there. UConn with maybe the best coach in college basketball with Hurley. Obviously, they got to be up there. St. John's, I don't know. I'm not really sold on them. I think people are just riding on the Bettino name, but I don't like the fit of that team. I don't like the fit of those players. Michigan at 7, I guess we should mention them because they got Elliot Cadeau as well. Man, I don't really know what to think about Elliot Cadeau. I thought he was going to be great. That actually disappoints me with how things turned out. Actually, really, really kind of hurts me. Carolina at number 25, State with the number 1 team outside the top 25, getting the next most votes. Virginia got some votes. Baylor getting votes. Gonzaga in the top 25. Kansas at 19. BYU, who Carolina played in the exhibition game, losing by 2. Trimble had a chance to tie it there at the end, missed the layup because why not? That's what happens. They got the number 1 recruit coming out of high school. Kentucky at 9. Yeah, I think there could be some strong teams this year. I think we might see some upsets and we might see some wildness, but I think the teams that are good are going to be really good. I think in the middle of the pack, we could see a lot of upsets, but I think the teams that are really good are going to be really good. So as of right now, first day of the season, my prediction for the Final Four, man, I'm going to pick Houston right away. I'm picking Houston to be in the Final Four. Man, I actually think this is tough because I said the teams are going to be good, but man, it's kind of tough because it's like how many straight times can some of these teams make the Final Four? I'm gonna go Houston. I think I might just go UConn. It's hard to pick against UConn. Like I said, I think they got Hurley, who might be the best coach, but they just won back-to-back titles a couple years ago. but I'm still gonna go UConn. I think maybe you get like a surprise team in there. You know, maybe you do get like a Kentucky. Maybe Kentucky gets back there. Mark Pope, I think, is a pretty good coach. They got a couple of good pieces, so maybe Kentucky gets there. And honestly, BYU, even though they didn't impress me much against Carolina in the exhibition game, they got the number one recruit. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the name because I still can't get it. AJ something, can't pronounce it. But sometimes a freshman can lead a team to the Final Four, and I think maybe that's this year. So yeah, I also think maybe Caleb Wilson can carry Carolina. So I'm actually gonna switch it up. I'm gonna go Houston, UConn, Kentucky, and Carolina. I think that's my Final Four. I'm going straight chalk right now on the first day of the season. I'm gonna go pretty much your four blue bloods. Well, I don't know if Houston really counts as a blue blood because they haven't won a title in like 40 years, but they're there, man. I'm telling you, they're there. They got to win one eventually. I feel like just like Gonzaga. Gonzaga's got to win one at some point as well. Maybe this is the year that Gonzaga surprises people. But that's my Final Four pick right now: Houston, UConn, Kentucky, Carolina. That's my Final Four pick. Good blue, bad blue. Yeah, Carolina could be decent this year. Maybe Final Four. Maybe I'm crazy. Brandon's going to say that Duke might have a great team. So there we go. Brandon, when you come back and join us, we'll get your thoughts. But as of right now, Carolina 1-0 with their one win against Central Arkansas. Duke ranked number 6. They played Texas in the first game. And yeah, that's good blue, bad blue. Look us up on YouTube or on the Podcast Hell channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. And we'll see you again. We're going to try to do more episodes throughout the season. Even if it's just me by myself, I'm going to try my best because you people like us and we got to give you more content. So we're going to do our best. I'm going to do my best. And until next time, I'll check you later.